Welcome to Courageous Creative Conquerors. I'm your host, Jean Voice Dart, expressive arts psychotherapist, credentialed teacher, and coach. It's my belief that we are all courageously creative and destined to navigate our way through life, learning how to feel, reveal, and heal. And we do this safely and effectively through the expressive arts.
Hi everyone, I'm Jean Voice Dart, the host of Courageous Creative Conquerors, and I'm really happy to be here today with my special guest, Laura Ballerini. Hi Laura.
Hi Jean, thank you for having me today.
Courageously creative, what does that mean?
Well, for me in my work, I often talk about being creatively fierce, and I think it's thinking outside the box. Things aren't as always as they look or as they appear. So it's kind of for me, I like to shift perspective, take a step back and go, is this really how it looks? Or I need to take a breath. I need to really think about this and absorb this and kind of come back with a fresh perspective. And I find that for me is creatively fierce because I don't jump in and react typically. Sometimes I do, and it's not usually good. So I usually like to take a step back and really kind of assess the situation a little bit from a different perspective. And I find that really helps me, be a little bit more courageous.
That is amazing. I love what you said because when I hear the words courageously fierce, I imagine like a lion jumping on something or something, but you're saying to just take a moment, pause, look from a different perspective, and then be courageous and take action.
Exactly. And I'm a self-professed, very shy introvert, and I've learned to find my voice. And I find that has been courageous for me. So fierce is a very strong word. Yes, I agree. But I
Yeah,
think it's kind of giving confidence to people that even if you're a soft, quiet introvert, be fierce in what you have to say and what you believe. And I am finding my voice and I'm becoming a little stronger, a little more confident, and I believe in what I have to say, and I believe I have a story to tell.
you do. I mean, our viewers might think, boy, she's just so quiet and soft spoken, but you are remarkable, remarkably fierce, and really focused on your passion and purpose in life. And I do respect that, and I love having you here. So tell us about your journey and how you came to realize what you're supposed to be doing in life and how you're standing in that right now.
You know what? When I was a kid, I was always good in art class. That's kind of what resonated. I was always a good student because I worked really hard. Um, but art was came easy to me. I enjoyed it. People recognized that, oh, she's really good at art. And it really gave me the confidence to pursue that art career. So when I graduated from high school, I went to art college for 4 years and got my degree in visual communications. And I applied that to the field of work that I'm in. I worked for advertising firms and worked for the Calgary Herald, which is a newspaper here in my hometown in the heyday of newspapers. So I worked in the advertising department, designing ads and stuff. So I've always been in the design industry. So I am a very visual person, but I am finding the power of words. Again, I'm finding my voice, but I only found my voice through writing because I was able to organize my thoughts when I started writing, and it made me more confident in as I spoke. So art has always been a part of me, but I am transitioning from, not transitioning, but merging the visual art with the written word because I find that is a beautiful expression of art.
I'm an expressive arts psychotherapist, but I often use the immersive arts. Bringing all of them together is so powerful. And we find, as I interview people on these podcasts, I find that rarely do I see one person just focused on one particular type of art. Everyone is telling me, yeah, I love this, I love that. I find that, and sometimes when we're blocked in one area, let's say we have a deadline with writing a chapter or something, we can be blocked. And then if we go off and do a little painting or do a little something else, a door opens and now suddenly we can finish our chapter. Have you
Yes.
found that you can switch from different modalities and it really works well for you?
Absolutely. In fact, when I'm designing, say for a client, I will never do a project in one sitting. I'll start it, I'll walk away, I'll do something else, I'll write a schedule, or I'll shift gear, and I go back to it several times. And you're always pulling stuff off the wall and seeing what sticks and what doesn't. So I very much do that with my design work, and even with writing. Writing is something that I'm constantly editing. Every time I read something, I'm changing it, which there is a point where you have to stop. But yeah, it's very much an iterative process, whether it's artwork or writing or sewing. I love sewing Barbie doll clothes for my granddaughter.
You
That's kind of a
do. Oh,
quiet. Yeah, I kind of take a breath when I do that, but it's also a different type of skill set, and it helps me organize my thoughts, right?
yes, and I think many people out there they're just immersed in art everywhere. It's everywhere. We decorate our homes, we turn on some music to alleviate stress. We don't even know what we're doing. There's so many ways. We go outside and play in the garden, and there's just so many artistic food, uh, baking and decorating the cake and our clothing. We have in our book, one of our expressive artists is a fashion designer, and she talks about wear your prescription, and it's everywhere, everything that we do. So if we just take a break from all the technology and all of the things and just get away and do something creative, uh, it really stops that stress, that mental overpowering that's washing over us and not allowing us to be free and look outside the box. All of a sudden, something happens when we go outside in nature, sit down, work with the plants, and something happens and we get an idea. Oh, okay. It just a beautiful thing that the creative arts are all around us, and we don't really have to be a professional artist or writer or musician. We can just start singing and moving, and we find our way.
Yes. In fact, my husband is a car guy. We're kind of a mixed match because he's not creative, or he doesn't think he is, but I see him when he works on his car. He is extremely creative. So again, there's another form of art. Like he's taken that engine apart and putting it together, and he put some new gauges on the dash for he's got kind of a fast car that he never drives, but he's
Yeah,
working on this car, and he balanced the gauges in the dash beautifully. So to me, I said that is actually art design. Like it's not just what we typically think of: music, painting, dance. It's
exactly.
working on a car, it's woodworking, all those things, right?
Yes, and my husband's a carpenter, and he does that as well as electrical and plumbing and all that. But he really loves his carpentry. Right now, he's building us a china cabinet that's set into the wall. It's huge. It takes up the whole wall, and that artistry of really working with the making the beveled edges and making that beautiful, it's just everywhere. So yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about you're one of our authors in the book Expressive Arts, but you shared a personal journey, which I think is very profound and would be quite touching and enlightening to some of our viewers about creative courage. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I started writing a book probably 3 or 4 years ago now, and right when I was ready to launch the book, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and unfortunately, that's very common nowadays. There's a lot of people that are struggling not with just cancer, but we all have our challenges. So for me, it was this diagnosis that kind of orphaned my book at the time, and anyway, my story in your chapter is really about facing breast cancer, mostly about hair loss for me, because I am a very visual person, losing my hair and becoming bald was it was really traumatic. Going through chemo is hard, but losing my hair was really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So, you know, the story's kind of about that and how I always hid behind my hair and always wear makeup and always wear big earrings. And I think that's kind of a mask, right? I realized it's a mask and I'm hiding behind, you know, all that. So it kind of really became, you know, reflective of let's be brave and let's start using our voice and let's tell our stories because my stories hopefully are universal and touch someone in a way that they can relate to. So yeah.
It's so sweet. It made me cry. I don't know if you want to share that turning point, what happened out in nature and how you realized
Yes.
something greater beyond looking at your hair and how you look and serving. Would you like to
Yes.
share that or wait and make that a surprise in the book?
No, I would love to share it because it was really that's when someone called me a perspective shifter and that's kind of what I kind of latched
Yeah,
onto.
it's a
But it was
perspective.
yeah, it,
Yeah.
it, it did switch my perspective. It's you know, right when I started chemo, you know, I started losing hair just one strand at a time. It was quite gentle. And I thought I need to plant my flowers because I need to watch my flowers grow as I'm going through chemo. So I was planting the flowers outside and there was a breeze and the breeze was kind of taking strands of my hair away. And I noticed that flowers I was planting, it was kind of serendipitous, if that's the right word. The petals were catching my strands of hair. And I kind of thought, wow, that's really kind of a beautiful thing. And I hoped I could hear the birds singing. And I thought, I don't know why it entered my brain, but it was like there's something beautiful happening here. And I thought, I hope the birds come and take these strands of hair and build their nests for their babies. And that will make this all worthwhile. This will be
Yeah.
like, you know, the circle of life in a sort of funny kind of way. But I had to look at the positive. I had to look at losing my hair, what was the positive side to that? And it was like, maybe there's, you know, there's someone that can take advantage of this hair loss and use it for something that they need. So it was kind of it just kind of popped into my head as I was planning and I saw this all happening and it was like I need to shift this perspective. It's not about feeling sorry for myself because I'm losing my hair. There's a lot of people that go through so many things. It
Yeah.
was hopefully this negative will turn into a positive, and that's kind of how I flipped it around in my head and then I felt hope.
Well, just now, as you're talking about it, I kind of got goosebumps. Just that shifting of looking at your hair falling and then imagining it's a gift of service to the universe and to the birds building their nest. And I mean, it just is a beautiful thing. And all of a sudden, you're not a victim, you're a victor. Just so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that for those who are listening. And is there anything that you would like to say, words of encouragement for those here with us now or watching on replay, what you've learned from this life journey of tapping into creative flow and, you know, finding your purpose? What would you like to say? Maybe a practice that people can do daily or a tool or something?
Yes, well, I have come to really believe, I've always believed it, but it's becoming clearer and clearer every day that I really believe that art is everywhere. I believe that we're all artists in our own way. Like I say, whether it's you got wrenches in your hand or a hammer or, you know, a sewing machine in front of you, that is all art and design in so many different ways. So for me, um, you know, when this person called me a perspective shifter, it made me think that you really have to open your heart to change, to challenge, to things that are might hurt you. You have to flip it around and go, why did this happen to me? How am I going to deal with this? So it is dealing with things with that really open heart. And I know that sounds really easy to say. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
We always tend to go to the negative. So it's really looking at things with that open heart. And for me, I always say sometimes we see it's really seeing with our eyes. So feeling with our heart, seeing with our eyes. But sometimes we see the clearest when our eyes are closed. We
Ah,
can
I love that.
right? We can visualize and feel and take that pause. And so it's feeling, it's seeing, and it's also hearing, like listening for what's not being said. I do that a lot with my clients. What questions aren't being asked? What do I need to ask that's going to prompt that next insight? So it's really feeling, seeing, and hearing with real intention.
I love that. Sometimes we see best with our eyes closed. That's what I do with my clients as well, in expressive arts therapy, is say they're trying to draw and express their pain or what they're going through. I say, close your eyes and draw. And then they look at it and they're, oh my gosh, look what I did.
Yes, I totally agree with what you're saying, Jean.
It's been a delight talking to you today. And thank you to you, our listeners and viewers. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Jean.